The strangers, believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, neath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools, baby, beware of my light. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 Creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a
Oh, sorry. Alright guys, we're obviously live. Welcome everybody. I'm once again joined by my co-host. Say hello.
Hello everyone. Good morning, or
Yeah.
afternoon, or evening.
Good evening, good morning, or good night, depending on where you are. So my internet's been a real bitch. I'm literally about to take my modem out and beat it with a drum, but hey, I am recording. So I don't know. Maybe I can upload it separate or something. I've got no idea. I'm about done with my internet. But anyway, we're going to persist through it, and yeah, see how we go. You ever thought, like, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm missing some major news today, guys. If you're in the chat and you're and you know some major news that we're not going to be talking about, feel free to let us know. Because I get a funny feeling there is something I'm missing.
It's possible. I don't feel it, but maybe your intuition is probably very true.
But before we go jumping into it, let's go sending out this tweet. Milo. So we are going to be talking about Milo, guys, in case you can see on the screen. Alright. We're going to be talking about the Democrats, and it's quite amazing how they're all jumping to defend this this other Democrat for quite anti-Semitic. Bernie Sanders is even backed, so we'll talk about that. Teacher forced student to wash Ash Wednesday cross off his forehead. So that's obviously interesting.
I've toyed around with my audibility, so if you hear any feedback when you're talking, just let me know.
Alright. I have to delete some of these hashtags. Why can you only have 5 hashtags on minds.com?
Yeah.
It's really annoying. But anyway. Alright, guys.
Maybe it's to stop hashtag spam. Hashtag spam. Get it?
But the problem is that I want to hashtag spam. Alright, so my internet seems to have stabilized itself, so let's get into it. Let's jump into the news, as we would say. Obviously,
sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah. Apart from that, alright guys, so do you want to talk about Milo first or last?
Let's go for it. Let's talk about Milo Yiannopoulos.
Alright, so Milo Yiannopoulos has been denied Australian visa over unpaid police bill, reports The Guardian. Now what I find is interesting is, according to The Age, it was actually regarding he was told that he couldn't because, first of all, he would incite a discourse, and now they're turning around saying it was actually because of 2 reasons. He sent an anti-Semitic joke, and because at the end of the day he threatened a journalist, and we'll get into those exact cases and let you know exactly what is actually happening. Hi, PSI Geek. How are you, man? Haven't seen you for a while. But yeah, so let's obviously we'll go through. We'll talk about those. We'll break it all down and get into the shit and nitty gritty of stuff. So obviously we'll do that. All right. So according to the Morrison government, has banned Milo Yiannopoulos from entering Australia. The Morrison government has banned right-wing provocateur Milo Yiannopoulos from entering Australia in a fresh crackdown likely to infuriate his conservative supporters, but please critics who believe he is apparently a gay, Jewish, black-loving guy is anti-Semitic now. True. Don't ask me how that works out, but apparently that's what they're claiming. The Sydney Morning Herald...
Don't question it. Don't question it.
And The Age can reveal controversial speaker was told this week his visa application had been rejected and he cannot come to Australia. So he has a month to appeal the Department of Home Housing Affairs decision, which was made on character grounds. On June last year, PayPal suspended Yiannopoulos after he used an online payment system, PayPal, to send $14.88 to Jewish journalists. Now, obviously,
God, he's a troll.
Yeah, and well, obviously, we'll get into it now. What exactly that means. The number 1488 is used as white supremacists as neo-Nazi because 1488 represents 14 meaning the mantra of securing a future for white children, and 88 represents Heil Hitler. The same month, he sent a threatening text message to journalists saying, quote, "I can't wait for vigilante squads to start gunning journalists down on sight." So, what was the context in what he was saying? So, what happened was, this journalist that he sent the $14.88 to, she was responsible for doxing, and so there was a Afghan vet over in America, and he had a tattoo on his shoulder. She mistaken the tattoo for an alt-right. She wrote up an article in, I think it was the New Yorker or the New York Times or whatever it was, one of those major publications, and she blasted him as being alt-right because of this tattoo. Now, obviously, when it came out that she was wrong, she was actually fired from the paper, and obviously they put out a full retraction. After she was fired, she then decided to jump on Twitter and go through and actually say, guys, I've been fired from my job. I'm doing a crowdfunding. If you want to support me, it'll offend the conservatives. They're going to get all worked up all over this, so feel free to support me to annoy the Nazis. Milo has decided to take the opportunity to send her $14.88 in the mail or by PayPal to help support her, basically trolling her. Okay? Milo's not anti-Semitic, okay? He's a freaking Jewish person himself, okay? He's also very pro-Israel. So this is him being a troll. Now look, whether you want to say that the jokes are in off taste, hey Greg, how are you? If you want to go and say that the jokes are off colour or whatever it may be, look, we can probably make that argument. But at the end of the day, claiming he's anti-Semitic is a little bit of a stretch. And
well, the thing is, he gave her money to support her. Like, you know,
exactly.
If you take the amount out of the equation, it's actually support.
Exactly.
It's real money. You can spend it.
Yeah.
Joke's on him.
Well, yeah, and joke's on her because she obviously got very, very offended over it. Now, obviously, the second thing that they're going through and they're claiming that he's done wrong now is they're claiming that he has gone through and he made threats to journalists. So there was a couple of journalists that have a bit of a history with Milo. Surprise, surprise. They were doing a hit piece on him. They decided to ask him for comment, and his response was, quote, "I can't wait for vigilante squads to start gunning down journalists on site." Now that's what he said, as a bit of a, you know, you want to quote, "suck my dick" sort of thing. And that's all it was. just him
He really
trolling
did
them.
say that?
Sorry?
Did he really actually say that, or that's fake news?
No, so apparently he actually did say, I can't wait for vigilante squads to start gunning down journalists.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's an off-color joke. It's not a good joke. And look, obviously, if you want to go lashing him over the rails for telling bad jokes, and yeah, we can have that. We can have that discussion.
Well,
but
probably not. He'd probably enjoy that.
yeah, and probably would too, actually. But I was going to say, at the end of the day, the fact is that they're jokes. They're not meant to be serious. You know, what are we going to do? We're going to start banning people from Australia for telling bad jokes. Okay, well, we'll basically get rid of all the Labor and the Liberals because they can't joke for shit. You know, so let's get rid of all the politicians because they're not funny. Let's get rid of half the left-wing comedians because, well, they're not funny. Like, how many people do we have to get rid of before we start thinking, like, this is a very slippery slope? And look, if you don't like Milo, here's the thing. Don't ask him for a freaking comment when you're trying to do a hit piece on him. Now, sure, look, did he say something probably really stupid? Yeah, he really did. He probably should have thought about it a little bit more. Knowing Milo, he probably sat there and thought, hey, if I say this, they're going to write about it and I'm going to be in the press. Because he's a bit of a attention seeker. Jesus Christ, is anybody surprised that Milo's an attention seeker? But at the end of the day, it's obviously backfired because they're now using that to get him banned from Australia, for example.
Well, they're using it. One of the things, obviously, the unpaid police bill is probably one of the biggies.
Well, okay, so the article that I've read about that, and Milo Yiannopoulos could be denied Australian visa over unpaid police bill. It does say could be denied, and this unpaid police bill report was literally put out the same day as them turning around saying, no, we're banning him because of this. So I think that maybe this is a opinion article from The Guardian. I don't think this is actually facts. Because it says here, the far-right speaker Milo has been warned he could be denied Australia visa due to unpaid $50,000 bill he owes the Australian Police Department for policing his events. His own comments that he's could troll or get off where people are yelling in the streets, despite claims from the One Nation Senator Pauline Hanson that Yiannopoulos has been banned entirely by Australia. The letter published by The Australian only says the Department of Home Affairs is considering denying his visa. Now, at the end of the day, after that, they then turned around and said, no, we are denying it. This is why. Now, apparently he does have 28 days to go through and to actually reappeal this decision. So it still might be possible he might be coming if he can get it repealed. But I really don't like his chances, to be honest.
Yeah, sounds like it might be a difficult one.
But look, at the end of the day, I do find it funny that, for example, they're going through and they were talking about him before that, about a month ago. They were talking about banning Milo because of, for example, him and the rallies that he held attracted attention from the left. It seems to me like it's any excuse to get him banned.
It seems that way, yeah. I mean, a lot of the people that have been banned, all of the ones this year and late last year, they've all been pretty BS reasons, honestly.
Yeah. And that's sort of my point, is at the end of the day, whether you like Milo or not, whether you think he's God's gift to journalism or what, at the end of the day, he still has a right to come to Australia. And I personally, I think it's a load of crap that the Australian government is banning him because of insert reason here. And it seems to be there's a whole stack of reasons why they're doing it. It's like, well, you know, A, what's the real reason? And B, can you stop trying to make excuses for it? You know, because
honesty, yeah. I mean, a lot of people have said, I saw it on a couple of YouTube videos. People are like, just, you know, if journalists were just honest, actually a lot of things that have been done that are terrible, if you're just honest about it, it actually helps. Well, it's still a bad thing. You're still going to get criticism, but you can't then say, well, they're just being shady, you know?
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, like I say, whether you like Milo or not, I still think he had a right to come to Australia. I said that about David Icke. I said that about even frigging far left activists, Chelsea Manning, when she was banned from Australia. My argument was she should be allowed to come to Australia. In fact, there's probably a better reason to ban Chelsea Manning from Australia, because she's a convicted terrorist. Whether you agree with the WikiLeaks or not, she has gone through and leaked information from the government to WikiLeaks, which I do support. But yeah, you know, look, at the end of the day, she has served jail time for treason. That would be a good reason to ban someone from Australia, and even her, I'm like, no, she should be allowed in the country. But I don't know. Thoughts, opinions, final say?
Yeah, a convicted terrorist is probably okay not to let in the country. Someone who thinks that feminists are bad people, no. David Icke, being someone who thinks that lizard people run the world, nah. I mean, there's, you know, who cares? Just, I don't understand why they do it, but they're going to keep doing it, so.
Well, this is the thing, right? Yeah. And at the end of the day, the thing is that the people they're banning, it's not a case of left or right. Everybody goes, oh, it's conservatives that have been banned, blah, blah, blah. It's not just conservatives. They're banning everybody that's anti-establishment. And that's the major takeaway from this. Everybody goes, oh, me conservatives are banned, and which they are. But at the end of the day, it's more the fact that they're actually banning people who are actually against the establishment. And that's where I sort of... I don't know how to say it. You know, at the end of the day, people should be more focused on that rather than me team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Over in the States, they're doing the same thing to... Actually, I'm actually, after today, I actually do feel a little bit sorry for AOC. It's the same sort of thing. It's anti-establishment people. They're getting brought down on them, and yeah, I don't know if you're going to cover that, but yeah, she's got yet another one coming out, like an investigation. So
thank you for reminding me. That's what I'm missing. Yeah. So keep going.
Oh, there you go. That's what you were missing. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're just going after all the anti-establishment people, and they're going in hard. And the thing is that and it doesn't matter if you do something wrong and give them ammunition, because if someone says, well, just don't give them the ammunition, it's like, nah, man, they'll just manufacture if they can't find it.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, obviously, look, you know, like, for example, when it comes to like Pauline Hanson, for example, who ran in Australian politics, you know, she literally had fake photos manufactured where they would actually go through and doctor photos to make it look like her so that they could discredit her. You know,
yeah,
they will fabricate if they have to. I'm trying to find that story because I actually saw that late yesterday and I forgot to tweet it out. Do you have a copy of that article by any chance?
Which one?
The latest stuff. The latest woes for AOC.
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
I don't.
I've got it. I found it.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll talk about that after Milo. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, and yeah, you're right. They are going after the anti-establishment. This is not a a left versus right thing. This is basically them going after anybody that's on the anti-establishment side, whether it be left or right. And I do wish that people would realize that. Not obviously us, but more people would realize that. Look, whether you like AOC or not, look, obviously she's doable, but Jesus Christ. Oh, and by the way, her high school education report card has came out. Holy shit. We'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, like I say, it's look, at the end of the day, it's look, whether you like her or not, they are going after her. You have to admit that. And that is like you say, it's the anti-establishment. It's anybody that challenges the deep state. They don't want a repeat of 2016.
I will, however, mention one thing she's done wrong is she got a bit too cocky and was actually calling out and threatening Republicans and Democrats alike. She has, in some way, she did use a little too much dynamite in the mine shaft, and there's a few rocks falling on her head. So, if that's a interesting narrative there,
I would say that she used way too much dynamite in the cave, and the cave has collapsed on her, and she's trapped inside it right about now.
And then the others are now coming over, and instead of helping her out, they're stomping on the ground, trying to make it cave in completely.
Yeah, or they're just throwing more rocks onto the
Yes, that's it. Pylon! She's fallen over. Yeah, exactly.
Alright, let's jump into obviously also regarding Milo, for example, just before we move on. They also went through, and Australia has allowed far left Muslims to come to Australia who are preaching hatred. So I do find it ironic that certain races or religions get a pass, but the white people tend to be blocked.
Well, isn't that an interesting coincidence?
But anyway, let's jump into the next story. So AOC is hit with other ethics complaint over boyfriend's email account. So a conservative group that has filed a complaint.
There is no violation, so there's no violation.
A conservative group that filed a complaint with the FEC alleged Representative Alexandria Cortez, whatever, campaign may have illegally funded thousands of dollars through the allied PAC, and boyfriend Riley Roberts on Thursday lodged a fresh complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics. The new filing also concerns the famous congresswoman's boyfriend, but focuses on his use of a congressional email account. The Coleridge Region Foundation, a political non-profit, alleges in a complaint that the New York Democrat lawmaker used her newly found congressional privilege in an unethical manner when she set up her house email address for Roberts. The complaint alleges that Representative AOC improperly converted U.S. House resources to her non-official and personal use obtained by official at mail.house.gov email address for her boyfriend, despite the fact he was not employed by her congressional office, reads a line from the complaint by Fox News. So, moreover, it appears that she obtained an email address for him by falsely designating him a staff member. And yeah, there's information here. There's documents, so it's not like it's fake news or anything like that. Riley Roberts is his name, apparently. But like I say, yeah, we got the proof. She has done it. But at the end of the day, she's claiming it's not a violation. And the Conservatives are claiming that it is.
Yeah, although that's not actually the story I mentioned, but that's still a good follow-up story. So there's another one as well. It's It's an ethics violation about her use of social media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't even heard about that one.
it's very fresh. I didn't see where the story was, unfortunately.
Violation because of social media. See if I can find anything about it now. Um, 1 hour ago. Holy shit! It really is fresh.
Yep.
So. Jesus Christ, this girl's got 3 ethics complaints against her already.
Yeah, pretty much.
Waiting for it to load up. So the Conservative group hits AOC with ethics complaint. Conservative watchdog group called Thursday for an ethics investigation of Representative AOC, alleging that she employed improper fundraising techniques. Oh, okay, so this is more about the fundraising techniques, not about the social media.
Yeah, it has something to do with but it is a third, like it is a third ethics investigation though. So she's got 3 on her head right now.
I can't seem to find anything about it actually, to be honest. But yeah, I would have liked to see the link, but yeah. So I don't know if it's fake news or not.
Tim Pool covered it. The only problem is, yes, I couldn't find the article either, so that's why I haven't got anything for you.
Okay.
But I trusted he would have checked it well enough, you know.
Let me see if I can find the video from Tim Pool. It's going to be a pretty chilled, relaxed stream today, guys. It's not going to be pretty. Tommy Robinson's been arrested again?
What? I didn't hear about that one. Jeez, what would they arrest him a second time?
Because he's anti-establishment. So apparently he's talking about a Daily Caller article. Let me... Ethic groups to file house complaint on Twitter use. So if I type that in... sorry, ethics, ETH ethics group to file house complaint on Daily Caller. Okay, found it. Found the article. Alright, so reporting regarding the article that you found. Washington DC based ethics group claimed that New York Representative AOC social media usage violates health ethic rules against using taxpayer resources for political purposes. AOC's political Instagram account contains direct links to her House Instagram account and includes link for political contributions, alongside posts for official video footage of the House floor, according to the Complaint Foundation for Accountability and Civil Trust. FACT plans to file Thursday with the Office of Congressional Ethics. The group claims that these actions violates the House ethic rules. And there's a screenshot of it there. I don't know. What are your thoughts and opinions on this?
Yeah, they're like mentioned the previous story, they're just gonna pile on the pressure. They want her out.
Yeah.
Um, and I think well, they're basically going to go after anyone who's anti-establishment, and I think she's public enemy number one for both Democrats and Republicans at the moment.
Hmm. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I think she sort of may have bit off more than she can chew. I think at the end of the day that she's decided to literally make enemies, and that was a bad choice. That was really a bad choice. She tried to burn everybody, and now everybody's gunning for her. So I don't know. I don't feel sorry for her, but at the end of the day, I sort of, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, DNC chair explains why Fox News won't host a presidential debate. Democrat National Committee DNC chairman Tom Perez defended the group's choice not to allow Fox News to host Democratic presidential debate Wednesday night during an appearance on MSNBC's All In with Chris Hayes. Perez released a statement about the DNC's decision earlier in the day, saying that Fox News is not in a position to host a fair and neutral debate. Really? But and the rest of them are? Like, do you really think that CNN and whatnot, or MSNBC, are going to host a fair and honest debate?
Don't think so. No.
No, neither do I. Citing the New York report, which alleged that Fox News has become a propaganda outlet for the Trump administration. This sets a very dangerous precedent, because, what happens is, say, God forbid, Trump loses 2020, and the Democrats are now in power. And now, all of a sudden, for the next 4 years, the Fox News goes through and puts out these same sort of articles. And then when it comes up to the presidential debate, they then use the exact same thing against mainstream media on the left. Like, this is a bad idea, regardless of whether you're politically aligned with it or not.
I agree. It is a very bad idea.
First question, I guess, is was it really the Jane Main reporting? I mean, the DNC has not given Fox News a debate in a long time. I remember this being a fight 10 years ago. Netroots was fighting against it. Do you really need to be tipped over by the Jane Main piece, or was it what you did it? Hayes asked. Number one, I want to make sure many people as possible see our candidates, because I believe that our viewers, our vision commands and respects the majority of the American people. Do you really honestly believe that too? Like, do you really believe that you represent the honest majority and respect of the majority of the most American people? I think you're delusional if you think that's the case. Including people who watch Fox News, Perez answered. People, Republicans, Democrats, Independents have a pre-existing and believe they ought to be kept their health care, including people who watch Fox News. What the fuck does healthcare have to do with you being a propaganda outlet? Does he realize that he's talking about Fox News being a propaganda outlet while literally spouting propaganda outlet lines from the left?
Well, it sounds like a delusional person there. That's absolutely delusional. Oh my god. Yeah, you can't. No. It's like it's the donkey calling the donkey or something like that. I think the saying is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, why don't you just make it simple? Just make it so that anybody is allowed to televise this thing, regardless of whether you're mainstream or alternative media. Let Golden State Times in. Let fact, Politico and MSNBC and Fox News and all this sort of stuff. Hell, if you're worried about like room for like journalists, set up your own streaming service or your own recording service, and then funnel the feeds through to the studios. Right? Why can't they do that?
Yeah, they could. Maybe a better solution is to just let everyone host the debates.
True. Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that a crazy an idea. Just let everyone host them.
But they haven't. It says here they haven't allowed them to have host a debate in 10 years. So I really don't think it's this report that's done it.
No, I don't think that. Yeah, it would be the report that's done it. What it would be, is just they just don't like Fox News, and I mean they haven't done it in 10 years because it's mostly Democrats that have been going on, and the Democrats just probably never accept to go to the debate. So even if Fox News can get a Republican to come in for the debate, the Democrat representative is just not going to turn up. But I don't know. I mean, just what they could do is host the location in a neutral location and just have cameras come in from all the different networks.
That would be ideal in my situation. Like that's what I reckon would be great.
Yeah, and then what happens is you ban all the networks from doing it in their own studios, so that way the representatives who are running for president can't turn it down. It's like either you're going to show up to a debate or you're not, because it's the only place you're going to have a debate. And that's it.
Say that again.
I'm saying you ban all the networks from doing it at their studios, however, so that way the Democrats still can't just go, oh, I'm not going to turn up to this neutral ground to do it because Fox cameras are going to be there. Yeah. So it's like either you're going to go to a debate or you're not going to have one at all.
Yeah, make it so that the debates have to be officially held.
But they can say no. It's just that, okay, well, you don't turn up, you lose by default. Do it that way.
Anyway. So let's talk about Maha. What's her name again? How do you pronounce it?
Ilhan Omar.
That one. We're gonna talk about her because this shitstorm is decided to keep going, and the Democrats decided to keep throwing bodies on the fire and hopefully try and put the fire out. So at the end of the day, Sunny Hosen tried to explain away comments made the Minnesota Republican Ilhan Omar, which many believe are anti-Semitic. But co-host Megan McCain was not having it. So Houston defended Omar by claiming that she didn't believe her comments had quite risen to the level of anti-Semitism because they focused on Israel's policy. We had Burr Wiss on as an expert who on what is an anti-Semitic and what isn't, and I'm sure he has no political affiliations or anything. I asked her, is it okay to talk about Israel's policy and not be called anti-Semitic, and she said yes. Houston explained that she said where it crossed the line is when you say that Israel does not have the right to exist. That is when it crosses the line. Omar has never suggested that Israel does not have the right to exist. I think that's a load of crap. You're going to tell me if I came out and said the same thing about Israel, that they would not say that I'm anti-Semitic? You there, man?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, if I came out and said the same thing about Israel, do you really think that they would say that I'm anti-Semitic or I'm not anti-Semitic?
Oh, no, absolutely they would.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that you just can't say anything bad about Israel, even if it's valid criticism.
No, that's not true. I would say it's allowed to be valid criticism of Israel. That's not a problem. But the thing is that you can't just focus on Israel.
That's whataboutism. um, what happens in most cases when you go to criticize Israel or any of the sacred cows is that they will just go to you. What about this? What about that? What about that? What about that? It's like, okay, we'll talk about that later. We're talking about this right now. And so, whataboutism is a very common tactic used, and so that's why I said what I said. It doesn't matter if you do criticize something else or not. You'll just be branded an anti-Semite.
Oh yeah. But what I'm talking about, in my view, with anti-Semitic, it's this verging. I don't want to say she's anti-Semitic because I can sort of see the argument against it, but I can definitely see the argument for it. She is a Muslim that has a history against the Jewish population, obviously Palestine and all that sort of situation, and she is just focusing on one certain race or religion. She's not talking about all the other lobbying groups. She's not talking about Palestine lobbying. She's not talking about the UK lobbying. She's not talking about Australia that does lobbying. She's not talking about anybody except Israel. And to me, that is where people say, this is anti-Semitic because you're not just talking about lobbying. You are talking about lobbying from a certain country where you ignore it from everybody else. And that's, to me, that is where this becomes anti-Semitic. If she sat there and she was to talk about lobbying from everybody else, I'd be like, yep, okay, that's fine. It's a blanket statement in lobbying in general. But to me, this is not about lobbying. It's about attacking Jews or attacking Israel because of bad blood between the two races and religions. Or two religions. But I don't know, what are your thoughts?
I thought she did mention the others in her statement. I do remember. I know we've already spoke about this before. But yeah, no, she did say that you can say something about the pharmaceuticals, all this other stuff, but she can't say anything about Israel. I think she said that, right?
Yeah, after she was called anti-Semitic.
Well, it doesn't make her point less valid.
But it does, because the only reason she's talking about pharmaceuticals now is because she's already been branded anti-Semitic because of her lobbying or anti-lobbying against Israel.
Yeah, but it is true. Just saying.
It might be true, but dude, at the end of the day, she's only railing against one particular race or religion.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong.
No.
And I agree with you. I'm just adding this other thing.
Yeah.
That's
but
all.
the other thing is taking away from the first thing.
Yeah. But I am also, but what I'm saying is right too.
But it's taking away from the first thing. This is their excuse, and this is their talking points. Their talking points are, oh no, look, she talked about Omar. Yeah, 3 days or something later, when she was branded anti-Semitic. After that, she then decided to go through and to make a statement regarding pharma and everything like that. But mind you, that said, she's still not talking about other religions, is she? She's not talking about other races. She's now talking about pharmaceuticals. It's still the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, and someone's going to take that out of context, I know. But she's talking about Jews, 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 Jews. And then when she gets caught, she's like, oh, but I can't talk about those. But I can talk about pharma? And it's like, well, you're not really talking about pharma, are you? You were more focusing on this particular race or religion. And it's like, yeah, kind of might be anti-Semitic because of a whole bunch of factors, like, for example, where your race, your religion, sorry, and then she's only railing against one particular lobbying group, and then when she gets caught out, she's like, oh, but pharma. I'm like, okay, did you actually lobby against the pharma? No. Okay, so then why are we mentioning pharma? It's like, it's just, yeah, it's like, yeah. And look, I don't think Israel is any better than Palestine. I think they're both dog shit. I think they're both a bunch of assholes. Benjamin Netanyahu at the moment is being investigated for corruption. But at the end, he's been investigated for quite a while too, mind you. But I was going to say, but at the end of the day, I can sort of see where people say, hey, this chick is anti-Semitic because she's only focusing on Israel. It's, it's like certain friends that we might have that go on about certain conspiracy theories about certain races and religions. And then when you turn around and you talk about, for example, another religion, they're like, but these guys are bad. It's like... But anyway. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi has refused to say Omar should apologise. Her words were not based on any anti-Semitic attitude. So now it's not that she's not anti-Semitic. Now it's that she's not anti-Semitic because of attitude. It's... Could you imagine using these excuses if you're a Republican? Thursday, weekly press conference, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi refused to say Representative Ilhan Omar should apologise for her controversial remarks about Israel. When asked if Omar should apologise, Pelosi said, "It's up to her to explain. I do not believe she understood the full weight of the words." She continued, "When you're in Congress, you're an advocate out there. Who I was, I appreciate all the enthusiasm. I told you before that it was me pushing a stroller and carrying those signs. I understood how advocates come with their enthusiasms, but when you cross that threshold in Congress, your words weigh much more than when you're shouting at somebody outside. I feel confident that her words were not based on any Semitic attitude, but that she didn't have a full appreciation of how they landed on other people where those words would have history and culture impacts might have been unknown to her." Apparently.
It sounds like a cookie cutter response.
Yeah. And
pull out the generic thing,
And look, at the end of the day, the fact is that Nancy Pelosi is not the only person that says that. Welcome back, Greg. For example, Jan Schakowsky, I'm getting that name wrong, defends Omar. She comes from a different culture. So appearing on MSNBC Thursday, Representative Jan Schakowsky, I'm getting that name wrong, attempted to defend Representative Ilhan Omar, suggesting that her repeat anti-Semitism be met with more understanding because she's a Somali refugee. So, like I say, it's the Democrats are literally piling up to try and defend this woman. For example, is yet another one. Krelburn, Ilhan Omar's, getting that name wrong, whatever, experience more personal than the Holocaust is to many Jews. So, House Majority Whip James Clyburn, Democrat, on Wednesday defended Representative Ilhan Omar over her latest anti-Semitic outburst, accusing her experience of feeling violence in Somalia is more personal than the Jews whose parents survived the Holocaust. Holy shit, this is a case of literally you grew up in a war zone, but you have a more personal experience than your parents who might have survived the Holocaust. Because it didn't happen to you, these other people, you can criticize them. Like, I don't know, it's just all these double standards, all this mental gymnastics that is going on right now. Even Bernie Sanders defends Representative Omar, backs legitimate criticism of Israel. He might not be officially a Democrat, but that hasn't stopped Bernie Sanders from entering the party's growing fray over how to deal with Omar. Sanders came to the defense of Omar on Wednesday amid growing pressure from within her own party over a series of recent remarks that have been viewed by some as anti-Semitic.
Do you think that some groups might milk old things that have happened to them? Not them specifically, but people like them. For example, the way that Black Lives Matter goes on about it. Australia with apologizing to people, for things that happened generations ago. The slave thing, for example. Do you think people might milk those things for all they're worth?
Yeah, definitely some people would, yeah.
Yeah, do you think that maybe that also might happen with Jewish?
Some of them, sure.
I just thought that maybe that was a factor. Everyone, I don't think you can blame a person specifically for that entirely. People often identify with things closer to them more so. For example, like, say, to me, a family member suffering means something, but the suffering of a person across the road means nothing to me. It's not because anyone is a bad person. I don't see myself as a bad person. It's just that we worry more about our own or our own kind. And that's where a lot of these kind of arguments come from the alt-right as well, saying that, homogeneity and all these things, what they say, we got to care about our own, that sort of thing. It's just identity politics.
Yeah.
People have a tendency towards identity politics, and that's why this fight comes generation after generation after generation. There's always somebody trying to go crazy left with identity politics because the human mind collectivizes naturally.
Yeah, I'm going to, quote, stick up for my ancestors by continuing a blood feud. And look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying they are wrong when they turn around and say this girl has a more personal expression or a more personal experience. My argument is, do you think that, for example, the Republicans would be able to use this excuse? Do you think that the Democrats would turn around and say, like, for example, say I, for example, got done, and say I run for president, say I run for Prime Minister in Australia. Do you think that Labor would turn around and say that I have a more personal experience with insert excuse here, so therefore I'm allowed to be anti-Semitic?
No. No.
Do you think that they would do it for a Republican?
I honestly don't know. I mean, if the Republican was of a certain race or class, maybe. That's identity politics, after all, is about the personal experience, not the group experience. Although the group experience comes into it, but
do you really think that
the individual comes higher?
Do you really think they would stick up for a Republican and claim that he has a more personal experience, therefore he's allowed to chastise a certain race or religion? Or do you not think that they would just run rampant and claim that he's anti-Semitic or anti-Islamophobic or whatever it may be?
I honestly think that depending on the person, depending on a few factors, they might,
yeah. And that, to me, this is nothing more than mental gymnastics. That's what this is. To me, this is them mentally jumping through hoops because we don't want to be branded as anti-Semitic because we're coming up to an election. So let's just try and defend this with every excuse under the sun. We've literally got 4 or 5 articles here, and 4 or 5 of them are trying different tactics like mad, trying to find something that sticks. Like Bernie Sanders is claiming that it is legitimate criticism. Alright, Cryburn has claimed that she has a more personal experience. Jan Shotswick defends Omar, claiming she's from a different culture. Nancy Pelosi says that her words were not based on an anti-Semitic attitude. Like, they're literally trying every mental gymnastic under the sun to try and make out that this girl is not anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
and I really don't think any Republican... I don't think they would give this same response to someone of Trump's cabinet, for example.
You're right. To a point, but I mean, there's then again, maybe I am a little short-sighted there, because I suppose when you look at Ben Shapiro, they don't come more Jewish than Ben Shapiro, and he did apparently receive the largest amount of anti-Semitism attacks.
Yeah, but that was from both the left and the right.
Yeah.
Or alt-right,
no,
I should say.
Yeah, just sort of pointing. Well, no, I think in all sides, because he's also anti-establishment.
Left and the alt-right. He had two sides attacking him politically.
Yeah. So maybe even if, no matter how Jewish you are, I suppose they still would try to take you down.
Well, no, the alt-right has a problem with him because he's Jewish, and the left have a problem with him because he's Jewish. The point,
what I'm trying to say is, when I say that, yes, so someone in Trump's cabinet, I'm trying to say that I guess I'll walk that back. I guess no matter how Jewish you are, they'll still say what you're saying is anti-Semitic, even if they're in Trump's cabinet. You know what I mean? Because of that.
No, I don't. I think you're trying to draw bits of string with bits of pins and look at because of this and because of that. At the end of the day, the reason Ben Shapiro received more comments than anybody was because he had both sides of politics attacking him. He had people on the alt-right who are very violent and not violent, but very vicious when it comes to anti-Semitic attacks, especially online. And then you had the people who are that are on the left, who seem to have an allegiance to Muslims. It's funny, so does the alt-right. But anyway, but I was going to say, who have gone through and...
So when you said someone in Trump's cabinet would get away with it, and I said, no, I suppose if a certain kind of person might get away with saying certain things like that, because they are in fact Jewish, and I was just simply saying, well, maybe actually, no, I guess no one could, under no circumstances, could probably get away with it in Trump's cabinet.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they would have. No. I think that the media would just jump on it. Yeah.
I was trying to agree with you, but for some reason.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you were talking about. Yeah, it sounded like I've had two slate people, so yeah, forgive me. But yeah, like I say, look, yeah, I was going to say at the end of the day, if you're taking and that's what I say, like someone like, for example, these Democrats, the left isn't going to attack their own. Well, the far left isn't going to attack their own, right? Obviously, attacking this girl is off base. We want to defend her. Where Ben Shapiro literally has two sides attacking him, and that's why I reckon he got more than anybody. It wasn't the fact that he's more hated than anybody, not technically. It's just the fact that he just has both sides attacking him. But anyway, but obviously the funny thing is the House Democrats have delayed a vote on anti-hate resolution. Try and work this one out. The House Democrat leadership on Thursday delayed a scheduled vote to make a minor tweaks to resolution condemning various forms of hates in response to Ilhan Omar's latest anti-Semitic outburst sparked turmoil within the party. Kind of makes you wonder what sort of adjustments they're making to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the anti-BDS laws, they're gonna have to be very careful, because, and the thing is that it's not just in the American government. There's been some very odd, questionable things come out from anti-Semitism in Europe, in European politics. There seems to be an issue, and it's usually on the left. Go figure.
Yeah, the left has a very, very cozy relationship with Islam.
Yeah, what something I've noticed is that conservatives, even here in Australia, they're pro-Israel, but lefties, they just look in disgust. It's like we have a guy here in Australia who went to a rally and he was talking about something nothing to do with Jewish, nothing to do with Israel,
Mm.
and she's just like, "Are you Jewish?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is what the hat is," and
Yeah.
then she just was like, "I won't talk to you," and just walked away. I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap, man!" And
Yeah.
these were like lefty protesters.
Yeah.
I, it's amazing.
It,
The left, the far left and the far right share so much. It's uncanny.
yeah. So for people playing at home, the far left, the alt left, whatever you want to call them, plus the alt right, have a very cozy relationship with Muslims, with Islam, where the conservatives have a very cozy relationship with the Jewish population. And it's weird because these two religions have been fighting for years. Go figure. But yeah, like at the end of the day, it's, like I say, look, at the end of the day, personally, I'm pro-Australia. I couldn't give two shits about these two religions, to be honest. I don't give two shits. But I do
I
find
support.
it funny. Sorry.
Yeah. I just want to see Australian culture prosper.
Yeah,
That's all I
same
want.
as me.
I'm a simple man, honestly. All I wanted to do was play video games, and then they started annoying me, and now here I am in politics.
Oh, you're turning into Sargon of Akkad. But yeah, like, and at the end of the day, and this is my view too, I don't give a shit about this whole Islam versus Muslims thing. Look, shit, man, I'll buy them all plane tickets. I'll buy them 2 plane tickets. One each plane, Muslims on one plane, Islam on the Israel on the other plane. Send them both back home, and then at the end of the day, we can just go about running Australia and just focus on ourselves. I really don't want to get involved in this Middle Eastern politics bullshit.
And that's basically exactly what it is. It's just a whole lot of religious dogma bullshit.
Yeah, that's an understatement. But anyway, I do find it weird that the House Democrats are delaying this anti-hate bill, so to speak, with air quotes around the name of it. The anti-hate resolution, they're calling it. I want to know what sort of changes they're making to it. Maybe they're scrubbing out a little bit of the anti-Semitic hate comments.
Well, that was the point of the anti-hate resolution, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was the point of it.
Maybe we want to start watering this shit down because some of our own team is being busted going through, talking about or making some comments that might be considered anti-Semitic. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. But I'd like to compare the two bills and compare them to each other and saying, so this is what you changed.
Yeah. Well, we might not get that. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll see if we can find it.
Everything comes out in the wash eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of washing, I've got to hang mine out. Utah teacher forces student to wash off Ash Wednesday cross on forehead, family says. So, a Utah elementary student, school teacher, apologized to one of her Catholic students Wednesday, and many still face disciplinary action after she forced him to wash off the Ash Wednesday cross on his forehead, the boy's family said. Is this recent? Yeah, 3 hours ago.
I have no idea what that is.
So what happens is on Ash Wednesday, they get ash, a cross on the forehead. It's to remember the victims of the Ash Wednesday disaster.
Ash Wednesday?
Yeah, not quite sure what the Ash Wednesday was. I know the Ash Wednesday in Australia, wasn't that a fire or something? Or was that Ash Friday?
I thought it was Black Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday is a Christian holiday of prayer, fasting, and repentance, and is preceded by Shove Tuesday and falls on the first day of Lent, 6 weeks of penance before Easter. So it's
okay.
It's a Christian thing.
Oh well, okay. There you go.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, William McLeod, a fourth grader at Valley View Elementary School, received the ash marking, making the shape of a cross applied by a priest for the Catholic religious day that signifies. We could have just read the next paragraph and it would have been so much easier. And then went to school in Bountford. Fox 13 reported. He told Fox 13 that he was the only student who had ashes. Greg saying, I think it's a Catholic ritual. Yeah, I looked it up. It said Christian, but I wouldn't be surprised if they both did it, to be honest. A lot of students asked me what it was. He said, I'm Catholic. Oh, there you go. It's Friday, the first day of Lent. Sorry, I'm Catholic. It's the first day of Lent. It's Ash Wednesday, Williams said. So Williams' teacher, who is not identified, later approached him and forced him to wash it off. The symbol, he said, William represents the attempt to explain why he wanted to keep the ash cross on his forehead, but said his teacher wouldn't listen. She took me aside and said, you have to take it off, Williams said. She gave me a disinfectant wipe, whatever they're called, and made me wipe it off. Don't know how I feel about this. I don't like being prosecuted because of their religion. And I think at the end of the day, if this kid had been a different race or religion, he probably wouldn't have got this.
I agree.
Yeah, like if it had been some sort of Islam tradition or something, he would have been allowed. So that sort of bugs me a bit. Look, at the end of the day, I think he should be allowed to wear the ash cross on his forehead if he wants to. It's part of his religious faith, and
yeah, hijabs are allowed. All these other things are allowed. It always seems to be one way. It's persecution against atheists, Christianity. There is a war on traditional holidays, Christmas, all these things because they represent.
The hijab is not a religious icon, even so. Even that is not really a decent excuse for them.
Basically, yeah, you've made it even worse for them.
Yeah.
The hijab isn't even a religious symbol and it's allowed, but an actual religious thing is not allowed.
It's a cultural thing. It's not a religious thing.
The only thing I can possibly to do the devil's advocate thing, always the nonpartisan thing, is the school an actual Christian school in any way, or is it a more just a government-funded school?
But from what I understand from this report, and I've lost my mouse, he actually had this happen before school. So he went to church and whatnot before the school, had it done by a priest. Then he's gone to school. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think it really makes that much difference.
Well, no, it doesn't, of course. It doesn't change anything. It's still terrible they did that. When they do allow other things that are clearly not even actually required by their own scriptures, i.e. hijab. So. Yeah.
Greg is saying in chat, Utah is and the rest of the class were probably Mormons. That is actually true. Utah does have a large Mormon population.
Yeah. Mormons are not too friendly with the other ones, are they?
Catholics, no.
Yeah, they're not too friendly with the Catholics. That's possibly what's going on. More religious dogma infighting. Yeah, wonderful stuff.
Yeah, kind of makes you wish there was only one religion, doesn't it?
No, none. I just wish there was none.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, I can make a claim for some people having religion because it helps them become better people.
Yes, you're coming at it from the Jordan Peterson argument. Yeah, I know. Where you can end up with too much what's it called? So some people fall into nihilism. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Jordan Peterson's argued. I really haven't watched any of his videos in like 2 years, but my understanding, but my view is and I don't know, maybe I'm picked this up somewhere from somewhere. I don't know, but my view is that at the end of the day is that religion allows people to, if they think that there is some big bad God that is going to punish them, they will literally sit there and behave themselves for an eternity. Because of that.
Yes, it can do both.
Yeah.
It can promote horrible things, bombings. Won't say the rest of it. And then you have the other one, which is the good side. That's Jordan Peterson's debate with the guy that what was it? The scientist dude. Doing terrible today with names. I'm good doing it great with everything else, but names and descriptions.
Oh no, I'm laughing at chat. Chat at the moment is talking about magic underwear.
Okay, that's great. Totally unrelated to what we're talking about. It's fantastic. Chat,
not really. They're talking about about Mormons and their magic underwear.
Oh God. So yeah, you have the debate, and you have basically just you need a religion of some kind, but that's where the Enlightenment comes in. See, whereas Islam hasn't had the Enlightenment. No. And that's why it has had all these problems. So religion is required, but I just hate dogma. I mean, I really do, and trying to explain to people why something is just they're wrong. Oh my God, you might want to punch them in the head, figuratively. But at the end of the day,
in-game punch them in the head, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, like you say, it's there. It's not going to go anywhere. Humans just have the God-shaped hole, and it can only be filled with dogma. So we just have to do the best we can.
I would,
and just do it right.
I think it's sad that people need a religion or a big bad entity that's going to put them in purgatory if they don't behave. I think that's kind of sad on their part. But if that's what it takes to stop people raping, murdering, whatever it may be, then I'm all for it. There have been a lot of people that have also gone to prison that have found God, that have changed their ways. So there are some benefits from it.
I'll end it with this. The crazy thing is that there has been some physical evidence for the requirement of a deity, god, religion, in the sense that, for example, when you look at the brain structure of humans and the brain structure of birds, in fact, animals also have this ability. Thus, like dogs, basically worshipping their master like a deity, a god. It's incredible. But birds do not have the brain structures physically required to be able to have any kind of religious feeling or to look up to anyone. Thus, for example, a bird will generally never feel that kind of love towards their master, whereas a dog or a cat or some animals do.
Are you saying that birds are godless? Birds are godless animals, and that we should kill them all?
That's not what I'm saying. That they just lack the physical structure's capability to do it, and it explains some of their behaviors. Whereas mammals and humans especially have it in spades. They have this structure in the most amount, and that's why we have so many religions and so many beliefs. And faith is, and we can do things based on faith, where most animals can't.
Everybody in chat, you heard it here, and everybody that's watching this live on demand. Satellite is saying that we should kill all birds. They're godless creatures. Hashtag kill all birds.
I did not do that. I did not say that. But yeah, humans have this ability called faith, and it's tied in with that brain structure. And it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to change that.
And look, if we had to have someone as a faith, if we had to have some faith that was the ruling faith of all, then at the end of the day, I would much prefer Christian or Catholic over Islam or
Exactly. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I'd rather be a Buddha.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Tibetan Buddhists and all that sort of stuff, they have a pretty enlightened view of the world. So that to me is obviously quite impressive too, and that's more of a faith of inner self. But we'll go through chat. We'll read out chat because we haven't read out them for a couple of stories, and they're talking about magic underwear, so we should probably, yeah. But yeah, back again. Had a customer and missed everything you said. Oh, Greg, naughty Greg, you're not allowed to miss anything we say. That's right, man. Totally Joe. Politics isn't personal. Leave your feelings on Facebook. Seven is talking about them turning around saying that about our personal experience, I believe. Greg, probably adding criticisms Democrats as hate speech. Greg, I see a few people with that on their heads yesterday. Yeah, it was the Catholic thing, yeah. I see. I think it's a Catholic ritual. Yeah. Utah, as the rest of the class, were probably Mormons. Nope. But they have magic underwear. And then PSI Geek, who welcome PSI Geek. We've missed you, man. I haven't seen you around for a while. Magic underwear is great. Very stimulating. Any thoughts on magic underwear? Satellite? No.
Yeah.
Touches
yeah.
all the right places.
Yes, it does. Magic underwear, from what I understand, it's basically just vibrating underwear.
Yes, yes, I'm not gonna.
And you can actually hand the remote. Some of them are wireless, and you can give the remote to someone else.
They're actually a lot of fun. If anybody gets the chance, and you have a girl that's a little bit kinky, wireless remote control panties and shopping.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I've never seen a girl so excited to pick up a can of beetroot. Greg says in chat, PSI Geek, lol. Greg, quantum physics is my faith. And then PSI Geek, Mormon civilization is the most advanced civilization ever. Mormon women prepare a courtship regime that includes their mother's dress size. Oh, okay. So when they go to get like dating and stuff like that, they actually presume a resume to the guys that includes the mother's dress size. That's actually kind of weird and makes sense in a way because they always say the daughters end up being like the mothers.
Goodness.
So, yeah. I think he might be doing a bit of tongue in cheek when he says that they're the most civilization is the most advanced though. But anyway,
yeah. I find the Mormons are the best ones to make fun of. Just saying.
I think a lot of people like to take shots at Mormons because it's low-hanging fruit.
Although there is one particular Mormon that I personally say that you're banned from criticizing, and that's Lindsay Sterling because her music is angelic.
I don't know Lindsay Sterling.
Well, Lindsay Sterling, not her new stuff because she's now a bit of a sellout, a little bit. But she's made awesome music like Lindsay Sterling, Shadows, and she's done some game music covers as well. She's a violinist. You know what? If you've never heard of her in the chat, you can thank me on the next episode for pointing out Lindsay Sterling.
Chat is busy right now talking about kinky bondage designs.
I'm going to enjoy going back through the chat replay later.
Yeah. So Greg is saying in chat, I wish I had a shot collar for my wife. Just kidding. Sort of.
Sort of shot collar.
Where would you like to put this shot collar, Greg? Please let me know in chat. Because there's a few places I've heard of women putting it. And PSI Geek, Mormon men can predict the future weight changes in their wives. That's impressive. And PSI Geek, I find them family orientated and friendly, and that they are. They are very friendly and family orientated.
And that's just Christian values right there, though.
Yeah, and the Mormons love to share the love around, quite literally with multiple wives, which I have a bit of a problem with because. Well,
and knocking the door.
Sorry?
And they love to knock on your door too to do that.
Well, I think all religions like to knock on your door, don't they?
I think the Mormons have done it the most.
Oh, no, I get a lot of Christians door knocking on mine. I don't get Mormons much, but anyway. Illinois
It is an interesting thing. They do it. They do that because they're actually requested to do so, and it is harmless. It's not like they got a bomb strapped on when they do it. It's harmless.
No, exactly.
It's annoying. That's all.
My front door is somewhat blast proof.
Literally?
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah. I've got a solid door on my front door. It's not one of these hollow doors that you actually go to Bunnings and buy or anything like that. It's actually a solid,
Does it have,
solid wood foot.
is it like reinforced with like metal?
No, but it's like a solid wooden, like sort of like door.
God.
Like,
what are you expecting?
Well, but yeah, like to hang up the door and to put the door on, it's like 4 door hinges where it's normally 2. The door hinges are like twice the size of what they normally are, and it took 2 people to hold it while one screwed it in. It's like a solid fucking door. Yeah.
It actually must be amazing to like open and shut. It must feel satisfying.
You hear a thud.
Yeah, that must be satisfying.
Yeah, it's a beautiful door too. It's solid wood, so yeah, you have all the wood carvings and everything in it and everything like that. It's a beautiful door, and it's a very expensive door. So I would be very annoyed if anybody did try and blow it up with a bomb. But yeah, if anybody was to detonate a bomb outside my house, that door would probably go flying and probably still stay intact because it's solid wood. Wood is very absorbent when it comes to blasts and stuff like that. Especially when it's that sort of wood. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really want anybody to test it, so it'd be great if you didn't. But yeah. Illinois Department assigned to U.S. Marshal Task Force fatally shot while serving warrant, officials say. A deputy part of the U.S. Marshals Task Force operation died Thursday after he was shot by an armed and dangerous man at Illinois hotel, police say. The Illinois Police State Trooper, Sen Ramsey, provided the update on the deputy, which was streamed on Facebook by WMBD. Unfortunately, we're just notified that the Cohan County deputy has passed away from his injuries, Ramsey said. So, Floyd Brown, 39, who was already wanted on several warrants, allegedly opened fire at law enforcement officers who had descended on an extended stay America in Rockford at about 9:15 a.m. Thursday. Brown, believed to be carrying a rifle, was located on the I-55 between Bloomington and Springfield. Officials say they were negotiating with Brown after he crashed his vehicle and himself. Brown shot a woman inside his hotel room before jumping out the window, police say. The suspect remains in his car and a perimeter has been established. Ramsey authorities are attempting to negotiate his exit from the vehicle and take him into custody peacefully to shoot him. There are all kinds of we're counting about a standstill, Ramsey told reporters, adding that the suspect hadn't engaged in any communication except for opening and closing his car door multiple times. He does tend to be of a certain perception. He's a certain race, if I could say.
Oh, yeah.
Greg's talking about putting a shock collar on his wife.
Good on you, mate.
So,
keep her on a leash. Keep an eye on her, and she's your property.
Well, this is one thing that I really do find interesting, and this is a joke that one of the guys at work told me last night. Why is it all these third world countries that tend to be less equality. They tend to be more chauvinistic. For example, Indonesia, Singapore, all these sort of misogyny communities, they always seem to have decent tasting food.
Oh, dude, that's brilliant. 10 out of 10, dude. That's a meme and a half.
Yeah, I was going to put it on a meme actually and post it on Facebook. But anyway, as for this guy, obviously we don't have an update, which is why I just refreshed it to see. It's only been 6 hours. It's only breaking news. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's yeah. I don't know, just shoot him, I suppose.
Yeah, he killed someone first.
Greg says, I would use a shot collar when she is being pokey or not listening to me. Yeah, that would probably work. I would use the shot collar like a leftist claiming hate speech. Fuck. I brought an Insoria door last week online. It was not even wood, but plastic. Ugh. And then PSI Geek, speaking obviously about my front door. And by the way, that front door is actually an exterior door, but it's not interior, but I get what you mean. PSI Geek, and at least he was last, I heard, hoped he's hunted down. Oh, cornered. Took a minute. Yeah, good food. Lol. Alright. 2 stories left, and then we're going to let everybody get going. Doctor realizes a 3 has been raped after her worried parents took her to hospital, and tests show that she had been infected with an STD by a 26-year-old while the victim's mum was at work. 26-year-old Texas man. Sorry.
Yeah, you're getting angry.
A 26-year-old Texas man has been arrested after he allegedly admitted to raping a 3-year-old and infecting her with an STD. Documents showed. The toddler contracted chlamydia and gonorrhea after being attacked by Devron Alexandria Perkins in Houston in January, prosecutions say. The victim's mother took her to hospital after noticing discharge in her diaper, according to court records. A doctor diagnosed the child with 2 sexually transmitted diseases, which sparked a police investigation. During the polygraph test, Perkins allegedly admitted to raping the girl while high on drugs. Welcome to being demonetized. Not only that, he's raping a 3-year-old girl.
3-year-old.
3. She's still in frigging diapers, for fuck's sake.
The physics alone confuses me. The whole thing is disgusting and confuses me.
I don't even want to think about that. But yuck. But look, it's just.
It is. The whole thing is just disgusting. Can he be put down? Like, you know, where he did it, do they have death penalty there? Because I totally advocate for that.
So where was it? What did I say? Houston, wasn't it? Houston.
By electric chair. Houston. Without wetting the sponge first.
I don't think Houston has penalty.
And I think some people, if they don't know, if you don't wet the sponge, it's far worse.
Yeah. Penalty. Here it is. Death penalty for rape of minor. So, death penalty offences for offences other than murder. Second conviction of rape of a child under 14. gives you the death penalty.
You have to do it another time. Oh, fuck.
Well, you know, hey, he might have. That's in Texas too, so he's in the right state.
Yeah. No, I totally just advocate for the Shawshank reference. Yeah.
So Perkins is facing a charge of super aggravated sexual assault of a child. He was booked into the county jail on a bail of $100,000. And it doesn't say what he is possibly facing for jail time.
Just a curiosity, how did he get access to the 3-year-old?
He was babysitting her while the mother was at work.
Yeah, alright, I'm just gonna go bash my head in the wall.
So the mother's trying to go off and go to work and do the right thing and make money and everything for a kid. Meanwhile, the kid's been raped by the babysitter.
Yeah.
Fucking disgusting. And of course, he's a certain race. Obviously, rape happens in all creatures and all colours and races and everything like that, but just saying.
Yeah.
Do you reckon
He
he'll
was
get
high
away?
on drugs, too.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, do you reckon he'll get away with it because he's minority status?
No, of course not. They're gonna throw the book at him and everything. It's a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
The thing is that I hope that there's no lasting physical trauma in any way. Like the STDs, I'm talking about that, not the other thing. That the
Well,
STDs
there's a
can
psychological
cause-
effect. So, you know, this kid, like, it's 3. You know, I don't know if the neural pathways are built for long-term memory or whatever, but is she going to remember this when she's fucking growing up?
Probably not. 3 years old, generally, there's no memory formation in that way. It should be not remembered. I would hope so.
Like, is it
Yeah.
subconscious, or that's what I
I
worry
don't
about.
know.
What sort of psychological effect was this going to have on the kid? The STDs are easily fixed. You know, penicillin. You know, a couple of antibiotics, whatever. The STDs clear up. It's chlamydia and gonorrhea. Was it? I thought that was the same thing. No, it's discharge. No, yeah. Trying to find where the. Trying to find where the diseases were listed. Here it is. Here, chlamydia and gonorrhea. So, as far as I know, they're both treatable. So that's
if left untreated too long, it causes horrible side effects. But yeah, if you catch them straight away, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, the mother noticed a discharge and then took her to the hospital. So, sounds like it might have been there for a little bit, but not too long. And then the final one that's really going to make you want to go and play in traffic. Teen girl may have been dismembered by migrant drug dealer while she was still alive.
Yeah, I've seen these sort of things, unfortunately.
One of the most shocking reports to come out of the trial for the murder of the Italian teen Pamela Metastropa, we've actually covered this in the past, is that she may have still been dismembered while alive. The revelations came forward following testimony from Vincenzo Marino, a key witness in the trial of the Nigerian drug dealer Innocent Ola, who is accused of killing the Italian 18-year-old girl last year. Malona had been detained in prison at the same time as Olas and claimed to have overheard him about the murder. So Molino said that Nigerian drug dealer stabbed the Italian teen immediately after having sex with her. They had a fight. They pushed, stabbed her in the liver. After the first stab, Pamela fell to the ground, he said. The witness went on to add that following the initial stabbing, Ozan left the scene to fetch another man to help him dispose of Mr. Upper's body and then return home, convinced him that Pamela was dead and started dismembering her from the foot. The Nigerian is then alleged to have stabbed the teen again after she allegedly tried to cry out. So according to Molino, did not name who his accomplice was. He had washed the body with bleach because it would have been known if she had died of an overdose or murder, he said. He said there was a stack in the fridge to put the pieces in, but they did not fit in there, and he had to cut it into 2 suitcases. So this is the girl that was in the drug rehabilitation center, who was very attractive, by the way, and then basically went through and she busted out of the child facility, out of the drug facility, and to catch up with this drug dealer, to catch up to score. Reportedly now he had sex with her and murdered her and dismembered her body while she was still alive. So, but yeah, I don't know. Thoughts and opinions? The
drug cartels do this. They're pretty full on. There's some videos I've seen of like when the drug cartels catch members of other drug cartels and what they do to them. She honestly, I'd say she got away. Actually, what they did to her is actually less than what they do to other drug cartels. So she actually got away easy, which sounds crazy if you think about it.
I just hate the feeling. Like, can you imagine this kid, right? This 18-year-old girl. She goes out to hook up to get drugs, which is stupid in itself, right? She obviously shouldn't be doing drugs. But at the end of the day, she's gone through. She's tried to hook up to catch drugs, and she's been stabbed. So she's laying on the ground, and then all of a sudden, she's just like bleeding out or whatever it is, and all of a sudden then someone starts hacking her foot off. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Try to picture where you're still alive and they are de-skinning you, flaying you basically from the top of the chest just under the neck all the way down to about lower abdomen. Think of that one while you're screaming.
To give you guys an idea, there's a photo of the girl. That's her there. That was who they decided to stab, murder, and dismember. Like, she's fucking gorgeous. Like, holy shit, she was hot. But such a waste, anyway. But yeah, welcome to multiculturalism, everybody. I hope you'll stay. And please, on your way out, please get stabbed by the local immigrant who is going to stab you and kill you because of an argument. Because, you know, we don't have enough misogyny in the world, so we're going to import it. Because that way we have something to whinge about later, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, apart from that, this is what the left want. This is what they're bringing into their country. Is anybody fucking surprised by this?
No. This is the result of multiculturalism. And I've seen both Wolf Creek movies, and they're pretty grisly.
I actually haven't.
Oh, you haven't seen either of them?
No.
Oh wow. Yeah, the actors that they used were fantastic. They really depicted it quite well.
Yeah, I love my horrors. I love my look, and obviously, talking about what Greg's talking about in chat, there is a vast difference between reality and movies. I love me Rob Zombie films. I love, I went and saw Grindhouse from Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez when it came out. I was hoping they were going to put the movies together, but they did split them up. I went and saw Rob Zombie's new flick when it came out. House of that one with that game show sort of like scenes where these kids were, you're
talking about Saw?
No. Rob Zombie made a film.
Yeah. If you want to be able to continue to enjoy the grisliness of certain movies, but yeah, don't go to like BitChute and look up some of those Mexican cartel videos because it desensitizes you to the point where you can't see movies and enjoy them.
I don't like the reality like ones like movies. I don't like that's like the gore that's like real life gore. I don't have a problem with like movies in like movies, for example. They're fine.
Yeah.
But the like the gory House of a Thousand Corpses I loved. Devil's Rejects I loved. Yeah. 31.
Did you like Final Destination? Like all of them?
Yeah, they were good. Yeah,
they were good.
Yeah. Did you ever see Descent?
Descent? Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Descent.
I've gone through tons of horror movies.
A bunch of cavers go into this huge, great big cave, and there's a whole bunch of creatures that are down there that basically kill them all in bloody and gory ways. Lone Survivor crawls out of the cave, and for the whole movie you're trying to work out and I don't think this is a spoiler, but are the monsters real, or is it her having a psychological break and she's illusioning it and killing the people in the cave? And it's sort of like that whole thriller sort of thing. 31.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of horror movies, both the missus and I. So we've seen just about every single one from about 1990 all the way up to now. Yeah. It's just, yeah. A good one, an interesting one is the Babadook. That's actually pretty cool.
The Babadook. What's on? I don't know that one.
Yeah. Check it out. It's called the Babadook. Babadook.
Okay. I'll check it out. By the way, guys, in case you're wondering, the chat on the OBS for some reason is not working. I don't know why. I've tried to fix it sometimes during the day. It's busted. I've had enough of it. Saw House of a Thousand. I went and saw 31 when it came out in 2016. Me and a mate went up and we travelled fucking 2 hours to go and see it because it was a limited screening.
Dude, there's the Descent and the Descent 2.
Yep. Yeah, there's a sequel. Yep.
I'm acquiring them now.
Okay.
Thank
Check
you
them out.
for
Let
the
me
tip.
know what your thoughts. Because
I will.
Even the second one, it really doesn't. I've sort of given away this bit of the first one because you don't really find out until the end. Like at the end, it sort of says, well, is she imagining? And it sort of sets it up for, is she imagining it or is this? But even in the second one, you still don't know if she's just nuts or not.
Cool. And don't forget, I mean, look, a lot of people dislike the whole found footage thing, but Mrs. and I love them. We've gone through all of them, It all started with the Witch.
Blair Witch.
The Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
But then you had all the other ones. And look, a lot of people really disliked what's the one with the city, the project? Something project?
Manhattan Project or something, wasn't it? Or
it's the one with the big creature that comes out of the ocean into the city. It's found footage. That one. A lot of people hated that one, but I really liked it actually.
Those sort of
the
movies
second
make me motion sick. I get motion sick.
Really?
From those. It's just I'm
Oh,
sort of
okay.
joking, but it's all jerkiness, and I'm just like, like I don't mind if there's a little bit of jerkiness in the movies and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, I want to be able to see at least clearly what's going on the screen. You know.
Well, there's a movie that you probably couldn't watch then. It's I forgot the name of it right now. That's just the meme of the day. I forget the name of everything today.
It's getting old.
I think it's Hardcore Henry. That's it, Hardcore Henry.
Okay.
You probably couldn't watch that then.
Nah.
Hardcore Henry is a pretty damn awesome movie. It's basically like think of a game. Think of a game where you have you can enhance your body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's basically like Deus Ex the movie. But the thing is, Cloverfield, that was the name of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, Hardcore Henry is filmed in FPS. It's literally, the camera is basically mounted on the guy's head, right on the front of his head, for the whole movie. And it's only the perspective of him for the entire movie.
Yes, I
every
have seen
scene.
that. Yeah, it was done with a GoPro.
Yeah. yes, I heard it was done with a GoPro, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
We should
dude,
probably wrap up this thing, but anyway, yes, keep going.
Okay, yeah, we should probably wrap up soon.
We're just
But no,
talking
it's
shit.
So you didn't get motion sickness from one?
I haven't seen it. I heard about it because of the whole GoPro thing.
Yeah.
It sort of made a lot of waves because it was filmed on a GoPro, and people were like, check out this, and then, like the whole film industry was like, my $1,000 cameras are now useless.
I want them to make another movie like that. That's fantastic. Yeah.
We should probably talk about the weekend. I want to do some streaming. I want to play some games and
Me
play
too.
some streaming and stuff. So,
Space Engineer got the server set up now. I've spent a few days just mucking around with different combinations of things.
Okay.
And I've actually set up the server where it has 3 factions of PvE combat.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 factions will shoot at each other, as well as we are the human faction. And, so if we run into a Reaver, I'll shoot at a space pirate, but both will shoot at us.
Okay.
And it's set up as a PvE combat environment, and it's actually high difficulty. So we're going to have a run for our money.
Sweet. Well, yeah, I was going to say, Star Citizen is getting the 3.5 flight model that's coming out. I'm expecting it to drop tomorrow, but we haven't heard anything today. They had a official video that came out today that didn't really deal with it. They just said that the new flight model is coming out soon. So I was going to say, so at the end of the day, no, it's still Friday here, Greg. So yeah, it's all cool. Yeah. But I was going to say, but yeah, so if that drops, then I'm going to have to be in Star Citizen because it's like fucking Star Citizen. But
although I do see a future of Hellion for you, because you haven't played much since the last update, and the next major update is dropping pretty much today.
Really?
Yes.
I've actually got
the exposure update. Yeah, it's the exposure update. They're releasing that today, pretty much.
I've actually got the roadmap open right now, actually. Yeah, they're in final phase.
Yeah. They commented last week saying that it was going to be Thursday this week.
Mm-hmm. Which is today.
That they drop it. Yeah, that's basically today, yeah. So it's looking forward to it.
So that's going to do background story implementation. It's going to do repair points. It's going to do sounds. It's going to do the Rude Awakening story list. It's going to do 3D character preview inventory. It's going to do helmet GUI improvements, which actually looks kind of impressive, actually.
I'd say Greg is the only person here just enjoying us talking about games and movies. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Yeah, I was going to say there's only one person watching, but yeah. Details on docking panels.
But also they're implementing the ability to prevent damage to your modules in Helion. Like it's cool stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got a quest system, proximity looting, so it's going to make it easier to sit through the shelves and pick up the right items. Adjusting masses for all modules.
And stations and asteroids will actually have a spin to them.
So, unification of press depress speeds for all room triggers. So corridors are going to be 3 units per second. Rooms are going to be 5 units per second. Airlocks, depending on ship type. Cargo module is going to be 40 units per second. Stirrups is going to be 15. Yeah, so it's going to be unified. It's going to be performance optimization, which is obviously something they need. Inventory rework. Single player module. The stirrups, the new ship. They're putting in the stirrups, the new ship. Are they reworking it, or is it a new ship completely?
That's the one with the big door on the side that you go in. So we've already had that for a long time.
So why they wrote it a new
Maybe
ship?
they're reworking it.
Maybe
there might be a rework.
Nav map implements, panel improvements, main server hardware upgrade, player items, positions and movement, airlock improvements, navigation panels, loot distributions, new bugging tracking platform. Okay. Basic crafting systems. Player ship customization first phase. Game server optimization. Debris fields. Basic damage repair systems for ships and stations, which is what you were talking about. UI improvements, melee combat, game server migrations, and loot distribution.
Woohoo!
They've done a fair bit.
Yeah. But we'll see. I think you were offering someone access to that account, but I've still got it. I might join you, maybe.
For Helion?
No,
Star Citizen.
the updates. Yeah, the update's coming out, so you probably playing that. I might hop in for a bit.
For Helion or Star Citizen, or which one, sorry? They both have
Star
updates.
Citizen.
Oh, yeah. So Star Citizen is going to the PTU, which is the player test universe. That will be only for subscribers and courtiers. So the account that I have won't have the new flight model for that. Not yet.
Greg is like, he hates crafting in games, and I'm just like, I couldn't disagree with you more. Crafting is cool.
Crafting's cool. Yeah, I like crafting sometimes. It depends how they do it, man. It really does.
I hate when it's done in a very dumb way.
Yeah.
Like for example, some games just have this dumbass crafting methods. Like, for example, Far Cry New Dawn.
Hang on a sec. Just before we continue, Greg, we're talking about Helion. For all that stuff I listed, that was Helion. That's not Star Citizen. Say you're a backer since there's 56 million. I believe you're talking about Star Citizen. That is having another update, but that's nothing that we listed. Everything we listed then was actually Helion's update. So yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. A poorly implemented crafting system that has really silly, arbitrary ingredients and grinds it out to an unrealistic. Yeah, I agree. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But when you have a really good crafting system, Space Engineers one is really good. It can be a little bit arbitrary, but it's simplified but realistic. So, like nickel for motors, but it doesn't have anything else. It's just nickel and iron and that. It's okay. Well, but it's simplified.
Yeah.
But like Helion, I think is not bad. It's a little slow. I don't know. It just depends on the game, and I mean, everything. Some games are. So.
I've decided to put up on the screen since Greg's talking about Star Citizen. So the Star Citizen upgrades are for 3.5. We get a new mission giver. We get DNA face customization, and we get female playable characters. This is for Star Citizen. That DNA face customization, I never realized that's actually quite a big thing. So what they're doing is they're making it. You know how you get like glasses and hats and all that sort of stuff, right? And according to what they were saying in the video, is that people normally, other companies will go through and they will make the heads the same sort of size, right? So that when you put all these hats on, it doesn't do clipping or anything like that. So what they did with Star Citizen was they actually tied the hat's size to the size of the head, so that when you go to put on a hat, for a split second it reads the size of your head, you pick up the hat, but the hat automatically adjusts to the size of your head. And then what they've also done is, like, for example, goggles and stuff like that, so that you can go through in Star Citizen and you can make it so that your character has a huge great big lump growing out on his right jaw. Right? It doesn't have to be symmetrical like all the other characters have to be with all the other games. And what they've done is to combat that situation where he might have a great big bulge on the right hand side of his side of his head. They've made it so that the goggles, for example, the strap is actually elastic, so that when you go to put the goggles on, the strap will actually expand and stretch for elasticity, so that you can go through and you can sort of customize your character and not make it totally symmetrical.
Yeah. What you can do is so when you get a model of a character, there's two components to it.
Yeah.
You have the textures and the model.
Yeah.
And then you also have the skeleton. These are three things that go into a character generally. Yeah. And what they most likely, what you can do is you can do model segment scaling. It's how they generally would do that. And so Star Citizen is basically like, if you put more segments into the model for, say, goggles that probably don't help you. I see nothing. These goggles, they do nothing. Anyway, the strap could just have more segments to it, and then you can scale to something. What's interesting here is that they're actually tying the scaling to the skeleton of the actual player model, and that is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and then it wasn't just the goggles either. They've also done it with, like, for example, beards and facial hair. So the facial hair is actually being tied to the outside skin and not to the actual skeleton. So that, for example, if you decide to have a full-grown beard and then you suddenly get like a great big zit growing on the right-hand side of your face, it will actually move the hair so that you don't get clipping as well. So,
they wouldn't. You can't tie it to the surface texture, or what you call the skin.
Yeah.
But if you tie it to the skeleton can have any number of segments, and the jaw size is tied to that.
Maybe
everything is tied to the skeleton.
Yeah.
And they're trying to simplify. They don't want to sit there for half an hour explaining the mechanics of it.
It was a 50-minute video explaining it all. They sat there for 50 minutes.
Jesus Christ! Yeah. It sounds. But these, the more complex the skeleton, the more you impact performance in general too. But they're probably banking on this game, like it's taking up, like it's slow to run. It's so much performance impact. They're probably banking by the time the game is about to release in a few years, computers have advanced enough.
Yeah, well, they sort of are aiming for the high-end computers now, because it'll be the base computers when it's released. But also it has object container streaming. So that also greatly helps the improve. Like, we went from having 5 to 10 frame rates per second on, like, like for example, like Port Al-Azhar, which is the space station you saw. Well, we went from having 5 to 10 frame rates a second on that with my standard mechanical drive, up to about 30 to 35.
Yeah.
And like on a SSD drive, for example, I went from getting 30, 35 frames at Port Al-Azhar to getting around 45 to 50.
Yes, and the simple explanation on that one is that with object container streaming, you're going to have to be able to load data from disk at a reasonable rate, because as you move along, you're going to be pulling in models and textures and stuff on the fly. You need to be able to keep up with that. Something Skyrim did terribly when it first launched, but it wasn't Skyrim's fault. It was people's computers.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say, that if you're going to play Star Citizen, for example, then run it off an SSD. And there is a huge difference between mechanical and SSD. Also on Star Citizen for 3.5, we're getting ArcCorp Planet, ArcCorp Moon, ArcCorp Moon. We're also getting the landing zone, Area 18 for ArcCorp. We're getting AI, FBI collision avoidance, which is really, really cool. Talk about that in a sec. Basic gunship behavior, AI flight model update. We're getting AI ship combat behavior improvements. With system heat, which improves the heat systems to support systematic gameplay. We're getting AI bounty hunting.
That's awesome.
AI bounty hunting missions. Vehicle scanning improvements. We're getting distress vehicles for, beacons for AI. Vehicle radar version 2, quantum travel improvements, vehicle scanning improvements, vehicle system degradation improvements, vehicle tech update, group system improvements, version 4, VoIP and VoIP version 3, distortion damage improvements. We're getting gimbal weapon improvements. We're getting extended missions to ArcCorp. We're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ships, although one of them has been pushed back to 3.6 now, we found out today. We're getting a tachyon cannon. We're getting a Gemini S71, which is a laser, scope mounted assault rifle. We're getting a tactical system gun, a hand cannon, which is like a big ass beefy gun that has 6 bullets. We found out about that today. Cortec, we're getting a disconnection refractor, which is updating the networking. We're getting network OCS store fixes, new flight model, physics projectiles manager. So obviously like bullets and stuff like that. Hard surface improvements and optimum performance. Yeah, you can use voice attack in Star Citizen as well. Yes, you can, Greg. Yep. So there's a lot coming out for I really wish
I like the idea
Star
of
Citizen. So I was going to say, I really wish they would stagger their friggin' releases in like halfway through like the 3-month cycle. But anyway,
I love the temperature mechanics in Helion, not Helion, sorry, in Empyrean Galactic Survival. And it's like knowing what Star Citizen does, because they take a concept and then they just explode it into this massive, awesome thing. Like every time you talk about it, I see that that's what they do. They just over-engineer everything. So, the mechanics that are in Empyrean are pretty damn sweet as they are. And if Star Citizen wants to take that to the next, beyond, it's like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Well, the heat system they've wrote, improvements to the heat system to provide more systematic experience between items and vehicles. This will cover a variety of issues and their effect on vehicles, from how heat affects various components in a ship to incorporating a heat values in the room system, all the way up to defining the ambient heat of a solar system. So what that sounds to me is like you're flying through a system. You might be flying through like a system that's high in radiation, that's going to cause problems with your systems because of the heat from that radiation.
It doesn't. Yes, That's what I mean. Star Citizen takes something and then just makes it like crazy.
Yeah.
In Helion, it's more simplistic. It's basically the temperature of the world or the system, but in the planets, the temperature varies across the biomes and by height to the stratosphere. But you can just walk past a thruster and suddenly, you're being blasted with 200 degrees and it melts your suit. This was what happens in Empyrean.
Yeah.
And if you're in space, the temperature the thruster puts out, let's say it's 150 degrees, but if you're in minus 250 in space, then the thruster is only going to bring you to like minus 50 or something. Because, it's based on the environment and what the thruster does. For example, it's all factored in. But that sounds amazing because, in Empyrean, they have another mechanic. If you have a ship and you switch it off and it's sitting just on the ground and it's nighttime, then the ship is going to be the temperature of the planet. So if the planet is minus 10, your ship is minus 10, getting in the cockpit is not going to save you from exposure. You have to turn the ship on, and then it takes time for the cockpit to warm up. But the thing is, if you dock the ship inside another ship, say you have a small ship docked in a big ship, then the big ship's environment will keep the small ship at the reasonable temperature, even in space. And you can use a station to keep your ships warm. Like that's a concept that's in that. I would say Star Citizen will probably take that and add something cool to it on top because it's what they do.
Well, yeah, generally what CR does, or Chris Roberts does, is he goes through and, like, for example, system heat. This is what they call version 0. So this is like the bare bones system. So at the moment they're talking more about like just how systems and heat affects your systems and you as a player and stuff like that. By the time we get to version 3, it's going to be a case of, like, for example, you land on a planet, you get out, you go for a walk, you come back an hour later, and your glass is all fogged up because it's fucking cold. He does definitely over-engineer stuff, but at the end of the day, the fan base loves that. They love the fact that he is actually making this as close to reality as feasible and interesting. Like there's, and talking about, Greg says in chat, cool, my wife can make a player now. I'm convinced that her playing will be like Star Citizen will be like the TV show Firefly, and Chris is heavily influenced by Star Wars and Firefly, to the point where one of the backers actually messaged or emailed the show, because they do these attention all devs, calling all devs, reverse to verse sort of TV shows every week. And one of the questions was that is there going to be a train line that is going to go across the country? And the disco, the host, turned around and said, I'm imagining something like the train heist out of Firefly. And all the devs were like, oh yeah, train heist, let's do that. It's like, really? You're gonna put a train into your system just so you can do a train heist? It's like, okay, look, we're now gonna have trains apparently. Okay, cool, let's do that. So like I say, it is very heavily influenced by Firefly, and like a few of the ships you joke around calling them, Serenity and stuff like that, because they look a lot like it. And one of the ships in there looks like the Millennium Falcon, but I was going to say, I don't know. See, this is the problem, and this is, we're going to clip this part out, right? We're going to upload this part to the gaming channels later. I was going to say, but like for example, people go on about like Anthem, and Anthem has been a huge, great big disaster over the past release. It is a clusterfuck.
Yeah, games as a service is built around the concept of minimum viable product, and that's what they do. They release an MVP, and then they just do like a journey where they upgrade it over time, milk you for all the money, and I have no bar of it. I'm done. I'm done with GAS.
But then you get people like Chris Roberts and also Cyberpunk, who's also doing a similar thing to Chris Roberts too, where they're saying, no, we're going to go through, we're going to make this game, and we're going to release it once it's finished. And then it's frustrating because like all the players of Star Citizen right now are sitting there going, this game is freaking epic. Like the shit that me and you did for a few hours was half the shit that we could have got up to. You know, like we could have done more.
Yeah, but it was epic.
Yeah.
The scale of everything was amazing.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, yeah, there's bugs, there's glitches and everything at the moment, and trust me, it frustrates us as much as the next person. Yeah. But it's still in development. But I was going to say, but at the end of the day, it's frustrating because it's like, this is a game that we want to get our hands on and we want to play. But it's like, ding, like, just hurry up and finish the fucking game. But don't rush it.
No,
because,
you can't rush these things.
Because
you
otherwise it's going to be an Anthem thing. It's like, just... Yeah. So it's kind of
and I don't have a problem with early access as long as people understand it's early access.
Yeah.
I mean, people trashed on Empyrean, you know, when it first came out. It was mostly negative comments for the reviews. Yeah. It was because this game has literally nothing. You can't do anything. It's like, yeah, it's early access. They released it too early, I suppose. They really probably should have waited for maybe a few more updates before they actually did a release. But I mean, the Space Engineers did the same thing. They released it where it was basically the previous game, but open world, and it was trash, absolute trash. And Factorio, the same thing again. Like, but the thing is that that's not the problem. Early access isn't the problem. The problem is greedy people who release actual, who then promise the world and undeliver. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I wish that, for example, Halion and stuff would do. And I know this is probably a minor thing, but I would like to see more modules that are put in, that get put into the game. Like it's great that we got like all these modules and stuff like that, and they've obviously made it a little bit more grindy when it comes to going after the modules now. You actually got to go through and dislodge them from the space station and stuff like that, and you know that's obviously a lot more fun and stuff like that. But you know, like there's only so many command modules you can put in. There's only so many, you know, crew quarters you can put in.
For now, yeah.
I would like to see more
and the
stuff.
game gets buggy. It gets buggier and buggier the more you put together. It's but they're working on it. It's early access.
Yes, exactly.
But I will mention this: if you want to get your hands on something, and Greg, you too, you know, if you want to get your hands on something that's actually fresh and interesting, check out Osiris New Dawn. It is also early access, but I've seen the development go pretty well for the last year, so I can vouch. I think it's pretty good. Like they're going to finish it.
Is that on Steam?
Steam. Yeah, Osiris New Dawn, and they already have the spaceship. They already have multiple planets. It does have some. I only encountered one major bug that pissed me off, and apparently that is fixed now. When you eventually build the spaceship and put inventory into its cargo, when you jump to another system, all the cargo disappeared. And the thing is that getting those resources is a bit of a grind in of itself, and I was just really, really annoyed and rage quit over it.
Okay.
But it has a really cool way of doing research. It's just based on experience, and you just unlock things. The crafting is relatively simple, so it's not grindy in that either. The only thing that most people that I've recommended the game to that they complain to me about is that the monsters are too difficult. That you run into a certain kind of creature and it just kicks your ass and you're just done, and you just can't win the battle. To be honest, it's more about tactics in that way. Yeah. Osiris New Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually seen it. It's $35 on Steam. It's
Yeah, it's a bit pricey. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's got an Explorer pack as well. Is it out? Is it officially launched or? No,
it's early access. No,
it's early access. Yeah. But I was going to
they're
say
about halfway through the dev at the moment.
I'll add it to my wish list. But what I was going to say was, and that's one thing that obviously with like Star Citizen, I wish that they would actually do is they would put in more fauna and flora. I can give you the link if you want, Craig. I was going to say I really would put in things like more monsters, and I know it's in development, I know, and everything like that, but like you really didn't get to see it because we weren't really exploring the planets per se so much, but you fly like to like Daymar or Yellow or whatever, and it's just barren iceland, and it's like it's like you know, like you know, like where's the 6 foot, you know, ice yeti or whatever it may be, or where's the ice spiders that will attack you when you go to the planet or whatever it may be. Add a little bit of danger to the place. Add a little bit more of a, you know, like a little bit more sort of stuff. Let me get this link for Greg. But you know, add a little bit more sort of something to attack you. Something you can shoot at.
And it already Osiris already has the you know how in Helion they brought out that first part of the game where you have like a mission you can do. So you know you have like a thing that gets you started.
Rude Awakening.
Osiris already has that. Yeah, Rude Awakening. So they added in Osiris that you have basically a mission path that gets you going initially. And sort of shows you the ropes, but it also gives you loot as you go, and it helps you get started. And honestly, I didn't even realize it had other planets. I didn't even know this. I built the spaceship and I went up into space to get the resources of the asteroids because they're unique, and you can bring them back down and cool shit. And then I just realized in the distance I saw other planets, like in the distance of the view in space. And I was like, I hit the map and I was like, oh, holy shit, I can warp over there? So I did. I went to the volcanic planet, and it's just unique. It looked so different, and it was actually interesting. Different monsters, different resources. I was like, holy shit.
It's one thing about these space games that it bugs me a little bit, and one of these things about space games that I would like is that they take more of a Star Citizen approach, which is they have very, very, I don't want to say pixelated, but sort of polygons shapes. You know, like
Osiris doesn't do that, no. Yeah, Osiris is they create specific models for things, and you can't just build something out of nothing. So no, it's not a construction builder.
I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got it on the screen. Talking about like, I'm not talking about construction building per se. I'm talking about more about the fact that, for example, that you go through and that they have these very square, triangularly shaped objects.
It depends on. Sorry.
I was going to say, like,
it depends on your skills. If you go into Space Engineers and hit Workshop, there's, for example, a ship called the Kaiko Huru Cruiser, and when you spawn it, it doesn't look like it's Space Engineers. It looks like it's Star Citizen level quality shipbuilding. Because, and the reason for that is because I suck at building ships. I build shoeboxes. That's the problem. I build a shoebox. I've seen people who've joined my server back in the day when I had a lot of people. There was one guy. He would build a base inside an asteroid, and he would dig out the asteroid and build a base. And I'd go in there and go, "Holy shit! Like, dude, what is your mind? You're a Picasso, you know."
You know that's the sort of shit I'm gonna do, right?
Well, that's what I would hope you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Just saying.
but the thing is, but your criticism is valid in a sense. Like Empyrean and Space Engineers are the two main games that have this. It's basically Minecraft in space in a way with construction. It's you have blocks and shapes, and you put them together to make something. And look, if you suck at building, it's going to look terrible. But it's also necessary in a sense because it allows you the premise of the game.
Yeah,
it allows you to build anything you want, literally.
Yeah, and that was going to be my rebuttal to my own statement, was the fact that I get why they're doing it, because they're putting in all this crafting in the games and stuff like that. I get that. But it's too bad you can't have the Star Citizen graphics with the crafting from Space Engineers, because I would probably blow my pants over that. Like, the one thing that really bugs me about Star Citizen is the fact that, look, they are talking about making it later so that you can add ships of your own design. You submit them to CIG, the most popular ones they'll put in the game, yada, 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 right? Obviously, they're going to make sure they don't break the game and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, hey guys, add me to your friends list and send. We'll do, Bet. We'll do. But I was going to say, but as for, like, for example, in like Space Engineers, for example, you can just build whatever you want, and there's no sort of progress involved.
And that's a major difference between Empyrean and Space Engineers, is that Empyrean has a progression system based on experience, and then you unlock the levels of technology as you go. It's like tiered technology. But one of the cool things about Empyrean is it has a lot more shapes than Space Engineers. But Space Engineers, on the other hand, has basically, sex appeal level graphics. You've probably not seen it. Maybe some of the screenshot you've seen on my thing is their older version of SE. They now have 4K textures across the board. When you max it out, it's using almost 8 gigabytes of the VRAM on my 1080 Ti. And like, it's crazy. And if you go into the extreme level, it hits the 12 gig all the way up. Like, it's insanity. And the game runs like garbage, so I actually have to turn it down. So, but yeah, the graphics in there is like Star Citizen.
Hang on, Greg, just before you leave, mate, I tried to add you in Steam, and apparently that name is wrong. Tripwire 1969. It says that there's no user matching that search.
Oh yeah, if you find him, I'll add him too, and then invite him into games we play.
Yeah. So before you go, man, if you want to post your in Discord, I think you're in the Discord with us as well. Yeah, he's in Discord with us. Post in Discord or something, even if you want. But yeah, I can't seem to find you on Steam. Sorry, what were you saying? Sorry. Yeah, keep going.
No, just the graphics in Space Engineers is up there with Helion and Star Citizen. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, the graphics, not the fact that the ships are made of blocks. I just mean the textures, the graphics. It's 4K textures. It looks fantastic. It pushes the 1080 Ti to the limit.
Well, I would say the graphics in Helion is nowhere near as good as Star Citizen.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. But like I say, obviously they're based on different models. Like even like the game engine, for example, Lumberyard. Like the reason why Star Citizen uses Lumberyard is because of the fact that it has that graphics, that 4K 3D graphics. By the way, that game that I was talking about, and you said Kingdom's Deliverance, that game, that was based on Lumberyard.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the exact same engine that Star Citizen used. Star Citizen actually used Lumberyard, or CryEngine, because of Deliverance. That made them use it. They're actually they're actually aiming for those. Message redacted. Hang on, let me.
So the chat doesn't dox his Steam name.
Oh, okay. Have you got it? Have you?
No, I don't have it. I'm not on the PC at the moment. But
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've seen the voice thing, but you know, maybe you just find it and cut it out if he wants. I don't know.
Yeah. I was gonna say, man, if you want,
Anyway.
just DM it to me on Discord, and I can send it to Sat. If you're worried about doxing or anything like that, or just add me. I think I'm Gamers Caf. Yeah, Gamers Caf.
I have to head
that's the Steam
pretty
name,
shortly.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, but no, like I say, yeah. So there was actually Kingdom Deliverance that actually made them use Lumberyard or CryEngine. They went ahead for that fidelity for the image and graphics.
Well,
So
I think CryEngine honestly does have the best graphics of the industry.
Yeah, well, Lumberyard's based on CryEngine. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same engine, but Lumberyard brought the rights to Cry, and then is improved on it with tools and stuff like that. But then Star Citizen has had to build a lot of stuff themselves too. So, which is good for them because now they get to sell those tools. All the stuff they're doing with the 3D model and stuff like that for the face rig and all that sort of stuff, or the VoIP and all that sort of stuff. They can actually sell that tech now. They're selling it to Lumberyard, and they get a cut if anybody buys it off Lumberyard.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's worked out well for them because they're developing a lot of this groundbreaking technology, and just wish there was more fauna and fauna, to be honest.
A couple of other engines of noteworthiness would be this Frostbite engine, and the which is what Witcher 3 was on. That's amazing graphics. And the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
There's 3 good engines,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, obviously the one that Empyrean is on, which is a lot of games use the Unity engine. That's big, very big. That one.
Yeah, even no caps. Still can't find you, man. You're gonna have to add me, and I think I got an invite from someone who is. Okay, yep, gotcha. So it's just that. Except, I will send it to you, man, so you can add him as well. Yeah, just because an engine is big doesn't necessarily mean it's.
No, I know. Unity is not known for its beautifulness. Then again, Osiris New Dawn has far better graphics on Unity engine than what Empyrean does, which is just bizarre, but what can you do? It's weird. Unity handles high-end graphics terribly, though. Osiris just kneecaps my 1080 Ti, and I don't know why. I think that's just the Unity engine for you. You know.
I actually got his account for Steam because he added me, so that's it there. Yeah, I DM'd it to the other computer. Yeah. Yeah, he plays Left 4 Dead too. Cool. We should do that one weekend. But yeah,
I have that game too.
Yeah, I was going to say the 3 of us have it actually. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you DM me name as well? I'll add him as well. I'm on the PC.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's in your It's on the DOS account.
Aha. No worries.
Although I think I have Left 4 Dead 2. I think I actually have it on Xbox and not on PC. I can just rebuy it again though if I need to. It's not a problem. It's only $14 anyway.
Yeah. Invite sent. All right. Well, I have to go.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I have to go to bed.
This is starting to get annoyed. Because I told her we'd only be like, it's like an hour and a half, and we've been going for nearly 3.
Oh, I didn't.
She wants to go out and do stuff.
Oh, okay. I had no idea, man. Sorry, I had no idea.
No, it's fine. It's not your issue.
Yeah.
It's not your issue. It's fine.
Anyway, guys, apart from that, look, I'll clip this last part and I'll upload it to the gaming channel and, I don't know, maybe do a podcast or something. I don't know. But yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below about any of the things that we have commented or talked about today. Apart from that, guys, obviously, if you're interested in the gaming channel, please feel free to follow me and also Satellite on our gaming channels. Links are in the description below. Apart from that, guys, obviously we will see you tomorrow and then gaming all weekend probably. Well, I don't know about you, but me anyway. looks like I've got a lot of games to play. Halion and Star Citizen.